Don't you wish there was a marriage manual they handed you when you got married? All couples standing at the altar believe that love will save the day, me included. But when conflict hits, we need more relational tools that'll help us stay deeply connected. Watch this video to the end and I'll tell you one principle that most couples are afraid to embrace. For the best marriage advice, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to be notified when we post new videos every Wednesday. Hi, my name is Danielle West, and my husband Russ and I co-founded Intentional Marriages. If you're dealing with unexpected conflict and don't know how to properly repair, by the end of this video, you'll have some expert solutions to help you navigate on how to stay deeply connected. We've shared these solutions with over 100 couples and have seen transformation in their marriages and them understanding each other better. Now it's your turn. As responsibility and kids get added to the equation, how do you stay emotionally connected? If there was a marriage manual, there are 3 relational principles that we would include and ask you to learn how to implement them. The first one being emotional flooding. Now comment below if you know what emotional flooding is. First time I heard it was in counseling about 17 years ago, and I had no idea what the counselor was talking about. But if you do, you're ahead of the game. And if you don't, here's a little example of what it looks like.
Everything is my fault? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
You don't look at me. You don't ever ask me how I am.
You haven't looked at me.
Now that was a good example of 2 people being very emotionally flooded. Being emotionally flooded is when you've gotten into a fight with your spouse and you feel that intensity and all of a sudden you can't think, and you've got 3 stress hormones primarily running through your body. You've got adrenaline, obviously, you have epinephrine, and cortisol, the stress hormone. Now, the thing that I didn't know that I learned in counseling was that biologically, it takes 20 minutes from the moment you recognize that you're flooded for those stress hormones to be reabsorbed back into your body. So the minute that I find that Russ and I are having conflict, we both stop in the moment, pause, step away from the fight, and we both take our 20 minutes to pause. Now, it's easier for Russ to stay in the fight. It's harder for me. He's more the tiger, I'm more the turtle. Well, I'm a personalizer, as you can see by the gif of the turtle hiding in its shell, and Russ is a tiger. He can be pretty aggressive verbally, and it'll just shut me down for days. So you can imagine how our fights were, and the more that he would tap on my turtle shell, the more I would hunker down because I just didn't feel emotionally safe. So it's really great to identify your fight, flight, or freeze behavior. It's what we do when we get into a fight and we feel flooded. So marriage can be hard, but understanding your patterns really helps build some self-awareness. But we both equally need the 20 minutes to calm down. As a tiger, he needs to not say anything else. And as a turtle, I need the 20 minutes to calm down, process the fight, and come back and think clearly. And when you're in the midst of a fight, have you noticed you say things you don't mean? And you're like, where did that come from? And you don't think clearly because those stress hormones it's like they hijack your brain, right? Do you feel like you think not logically during a fight? No, me either. So take it from an expert counselor to pause, take a break, and I actually set my watch. I was like, I want to see how real this is. And once the 20 minutes was up, I could not be as mad at my husband as I wanted to. It really does make a difference. Emotional flooding is really important to recognize and to take a pause, take a moment before you re-engage your discussion. The second relational principle I would include in the marriage manual is the weekly marriage check-in. Now, a lot of couples that we have shared this with up front are resistant because they're like, we're having such a good day. I don't know if I want to go back and deal with what happened earlier today or earlier this week, but we highly, highly recommend to deal with this stuff while it's still small, because it's so easy to brush it under the rug. But what we don't see is that each time we brush it under the rug, there's little deposits of resentment. You may not feel them, you may not even recognize them, but there's little deposits. And we don't see how those little deposits are growing, 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 to the point where eventually you lose it and you have a much bigger fight than what was intended.
Every girl likes flowers, Gary.
You say that you don't like flowers. I'm supposed to take that to mean that you do like flowers?
No, this is not about, you're not getting it. You're not getting this, Gary. Okay, it's not about the lemons, it's not about the flowers, it's not about the dishes. It's just, how many times do I have to drop hints about the ballet?
You know I can't Brooke.
Or you get to a point of apathy where you're just like, I give up. We highly, highly recommend doing a weekly check-in. We'll have another video that's more detailed about what to talk about during your weekly check-in. The third relational principle I would include in the marriage manual for newlyweds is repair instead of swear. Now that's much easier said than done.
Really? Is that what you want, Gary? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That's what you want?
Yeah.
Fine, great, do whatever you want. You leave your socks all over this house, dress like a pig, play your stupid video game. I don't care, I'm done.
What?
I am done. I don't deserve this. I really do not deserve this. I deserve somebody who gives it. I'm not spending one more second of this life with some inconsiderate.
The very first thing after a fight has occurred is pause, take a break. How long? 20 minutes. You're catching on quick. And the first question you want to ask yourself is, what was my role in the conflict? The first thing we want to say is my spouse. They were the one who was irritating me, or they were the one that hurt me. And that's part of the calming down process during that 20 minutes is you really need to keep pulling back and pulling back the onion layers of what was my role in the conflict. And then when you come back to talk, use I statements. It is so much easier to say, well, you did this and you did that. Using I statements, you know why we don't use them? Because it's hard. It's hard because it requires us to be vulnerable. And vulnerability is not easy, but I can tell you it is the thing that really has repaired a lot of our fights, is using I statements. So instead of coming back and saying, well, you ignored me and turned your back, it would be instead, I felt ignored and I wasn't sure what was happening in the conversation. Using I statements requires you to share how you feel and what you need. Instead of saying you, which is such a critical statement, what else can our spouse do but be defensive, right? So again, after you've paused, you're waiting 20 minutes, you're figuring out what your role is in the conflict, and you're using I statements. So all of this is in a download in the description below. Simply scan the QR code or scroll down to the description where we have a link. I told you at the beginning of this video, there is one relational principle that most couples are afraid to embrace, and that is proactive counseling. You're like, what? Now, before you turn the video, let me explain. You're thinking, counseling, are you kidding? And proactive, like go on purpose? Yes. But here, let me ask you something. You hire a financial advisor for your money goals, right? And you hire a personal trainer for your fitness goals. Why wouldn't you hire a mentor, a coach, an advisor for your relationship goals? There's no family that has perfectly prepared us for relationships moving forward. I mean, our parents only modeled what their parents taught them. But I believe with this wave of emotional intelligence that we have the opportunity to repair in such a way that we can be deeply connected and not just exist in our marriages. And so that's my heart's desire for you, because had I not done the counseling, I would have just existed in my marriage. It takes somebody from the outside looking in to coach us, and it's been fantastic. I will tell you, there have been times where I've gone there where I thought Russ was the problem, and I learned I was. So obviously that takes some courage to look in at yourself and understand and be self-aware of what your role is. but it has been significant for our marriage. And so my desire for you, and if you want to succeed, is look into counseling proactively. Now, some of you don't have the time nor the money. In our next video, I will share 3 inexpensive alternatives to help you gain that self-awareness. If you like this video, let me know by liking it below, subscribe, and take a screenshot, share it with your friends, and comment below and let me know what you think about couples counseling. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.